welcome to DNA. Today our special guest is Cohen. And I'm super excited to have Joe today because we are going to talk about a topic that millions of people are curious about. What it's like to work on a presidential election campaign. Joe here has worked on 2012 Obama and 2016 Hillary campaigns. I can't believe that I know somebody like Joe who has worked on two world's most important campaigns. I'm really curious what's happening there, what was your experience there. So welcome, Joe.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with what your role was on both campaigns.
Sure. So in 2012 and 2016, I was on digital advertising teams. So we were responsible for all paid media that was spent online. So we raised money, we persuaded voters, and we turned out voters, all online and all through digital platforms.
How big was your team at that time?
So the entire team was about 25 people. It was essentially an in-house digital advertising agency.
Gotcha.
So for everything from planning to building creative and the ads to actually launching and reporting, the full life cycle all in-house.
How did you get into this awesome opportunity?
It's a good question.
What millions of people wanted to participate probably. How did you get not only once a lifetime, but twice?
It's funny. So I think there's a perception that everyone wants to work on presidential campaigns. And in reality, presidential campaigns are hard. You're usually moving to a new city or you're having to adjust where you work quickly. And you're working long hours for not necessarily a ton of pay. And there's an end date, right? So election day, you're out of a job, most likely, regardless if you win or lose. So I think in reality, a lot of people want to do it, fewer people actually can. So in 2012, I worked at an ad agency at the time, and I was there for about a year and a half, and I was starting to look for other roles and other companies. And I got this email from someone I worked with in 2010. She sent it to a bunch of people, and she had worked on Obama's 08 campaign. So the email was, hey, I hear that they're hiring, don't know a ton yet, let me know if you're interested. So it was one of those moments in life where you're like, I'm gonna go for this. So I went for it, went through the whole process, got the job, and then moved to Chicago 3 weeks later to a new city with a new job. Had never worked on a campaign before. And just kind of went for it.
Wow.
I'm a big believer in putting yourself in a position to be lucky. So taking a risk and just going for it sometimes.
Tell me what happened after Obama campaign was wrapped up 3 years, 4 years later. How did you get into the Hillary campaign again?
After 2012, it was the best experience of my life at the time, and it was crazy, awesome, and we won, so everything was amazing. After that, it was an amazing experience, and I'm never doing it again, right? That was what I said, I'm not doing politics again. I loved it, but just the lifestyle is really hard, and it's a big sacrifice, and it's a lot.
Totally.
So I believe that, in my head, I'm like, okay, I internalized it, I'm not doing it again. So, flash forward 3 years later, you see what's happening in the political environment. You see Trump starting to rise, and eventually he claims the Republican nomination. It's one of those moments where you're thinking, I can't not do something, right? I can't just sit here and let this happen. So around that same time, I started thinking about that. I'm what can I do to help? I had a friend who I worked with in 2012 send me a text message saying you should work on Hillary's campaign.
Tell me how your day-to-day was like on the campaign.
Yeah, I think it depends. A lot of it was communicating with other teams on what we're doing and what we're seeing. So when it comes to raising money, sharing with other teams, finance, budget, all these other teams, how much money we're raising, how much money we expect to raise, and what we plan to do with that, with our budgets over the next 3-6 months or even weeks or days. And I think that's super important because we are raising so much money online that drives decisions for the rest of the campaign.
So you not only have to take care of marketing, advertising, you also have to take the fundraising part?
Exactly. So yeah, there's three main objectives. It's fundraising, which starts really early. The first day of the campaign, you're trying to raise money and you're building an email list.
Gotcha.
Even before.
Okay.
6 months before or so, maybe a little longer or shorter depending on the campaign, is really where you're trying to get your message out And if there's people who may support you but don't support you yet, you're trying to reach them. That's called really the persuasion stage. So really getting the message out and convincing people to support your candidate.
Gotcha.
From there, in the last month or two, it's about getting your voters to turn out. So it's less about trying to switch people to vote for you. It's more about getting people who you know will vote for you to actually go vote.
Was it the same where you were working on Obama campaign and the Hillary campaign?
So same overall goals and objectives in terms of raising money, persuasion, and turning out the vote. Different timing.
Gotcha.
I think because 2016 was so different than 2012 because of the candidate we were running against. And also the media environment. I was only on the campaign for about 9 months.
Okay.
But campaigns typically start...
9 months is a pretty long time.
It felt like 3 years, I'll tell you that.
How many hours did you actually have to work every day?
I mean, it depends. I'd say in the last month or two, anywhere from 9 to 10 o'clock in the morning, midnight.
You have to constantly work like this every day, or can you have weekends, vacations?
So the reason I love politics is because it's black and white. And what I mean by that is there's an end date. Election day, unless there's a recount or things like that, election day is the end. So if you leave money on the table, the money the day after election day is worth nothing, right? If you win or lose, not much you can do with it. Same with time. So in the last 3, 4, 5 months of the campaign, you're working 7 days a week because there's an end date and you want to make sure you leave everything out on the field. It goes back to my point a little earlier where campaigns are amazing, but it's also a big sacrifice in terms of people aren't seeing their friends and family often for many months. Like you gain weight and there's a lot of trade-off as well.
That's what you said exactly. But then people want to do it, and A, they have to be risk-taking to do it, and B, they have to be able to sustain this lifestyle. I don't know if I can work 7 days for, 12, 15 hours a day, man.
I think you realize how far you can push yourself in situations like this, where it's 2 weeks before election day and you're like, I can't keep on going, and you just find a way to do it. And I think the biggest
Red Bulls, 5-hour energy.
It's funny, people think I'm crazy. I don't drink coffee.
You
and
don't?
I never drank coffee one day during 2016
What is your
or 2012.
secret recipe then?
If I really need a boost, I'll drink a can of Coke.
Man, you're built for this.
But yeah, at the same time though, you get to know your coworkers and your teammates so well because they're essentially your family for that time. You see them more than you see anyone else during that time period. So you get to know these people so well. That night in Chicago, we went to the victory speech at McCormick Center. And I remember that night my phone was about to die, and I was so dehydrated. I just remember standing there for hours, and we knew at that point, late in the night, we knew we were winning, so nothing mattered. I didn't care if I collapsed there and needed water. We won. It's everything was great. We end up going to someone's apartment and just hanging out. We're
it's suddenly I got a 6-hour extra in my life.
Yes.
What do I do?
Because when you're working 7 days a week for 16, 18 hours a day, you're so used to not having to budget your time for anything except work. So then all of a sudden it ends. You're like, wait, what am I doing? What do I do with my time? I don't know how to be a normal human being. And it takes a good 3 months to become a normal human being again, to re-enter society and reclaim your life in a way of I can do this. Last thing I remember before going to sleep was this has to be a dream. When you win, you look like a genius. When you lose, you look like an idiot. Lesson learned: don't try to be sketchy when the President of the United States is in the same room as you.